whoever has the book, we're going to be on page, in the way of mastery, we're going to be on page 323. You think you're warm enough to cut the heat off, or just leave it on? How you feeling? So,
Yeah, I'm
okay?
fine.
You okay? Get sick. Yeah. So, you know that the only rules in it is what? You don't have to believe it, accept it, welcome it. Some of it might be hard to believe and it's quite startling. And one of the main things I love about the way of mastery is that it says things that you don't hear every day. That's very powerful. And if you use it, it says you will, it will show you that it's true. So I'm going to read through a little of it, and then we'll see if there's anything we need to get some clarity about. And then we'll go on to the next part, because we got some diehards here tonight. I want to thank you for coming today with the weather like it is, because it was kind of iffy if I was going to even do it tonight. And I said, no, I'm going to go ahead. Ask Spirit's okay, come on ahead and do it, because I knew whoever showed up tonight, they really needed to be here, wanted to be here, just like me. So I said, I better go ahead and put this out here. Okay, so I appreciate you so much. I appreciate everybody online that's watching the class. It says, when you choose to love in any given moment, you are the one who gets to receive the benefits of the love first. You're receiving the benefit of the love is an immediate experience, and it can't be taken from you. You are free to, I love this statement, you are free to juice yourself anytime you want by choosing only love. You're free to juice yourself anytime you want by choosing only love. Anybody need juicing? Anybody in the room needs a little juice? Yeah, me too. I know. So, in any condition, you are the presence of that one to whom all power under heaven and earth has been given, not just to extend love as a duty, for love isn't a duty, love is a pleasure. Love isn't a duty, love is a pleasure. Love isn't a duty, love is a pleasure. So, am I really loving someone that I feel like I'm always straining myself to do it? Doesn't sound like pleasure. Sounds like I think I'm doing something that I ought to, shoulda, gotta. And I'm trying to really get rid of the shoulda, oughtas, and gottas from my life. I ought to do it, I should do it, I gotta do it. I'm trying to live as many of those out, go as I possibly can. Says, not just to extend love as a duty, for love is not a duty, it's a pleasure. It's the supreme pleasure that can be expressed and experienced in the depth of any mind. Whether you happen to be in the world of space and time, or like me, out of it. You're the one that can experience love and let your cup overflow. You are the one who can enjoy each and every moment, regardless of the conditions. For the conditions are only the interpretations of the egoic mind. All events are neutral. All events are neutral. All events are there for you to love, that you might experience love. Whew. That is really how simple it is. It has always been that way. It will never change. You are the lover. 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 Aren't you a lover?
Yes.
That's right. You are. That's what I thought. You look like a lover.
David ends with Y.
You've been recognized. You've been recognized. You are the lover. You are the lover. You are the lover. You You pull it off your coat. You are the lover. 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 Yeah, you're the lover.
Me too.
You are the, thank you. You are the lover. You are the lover. I am the lover. So we got that straight, right? All right. Then it goes on to say, what was that? I got caught up in that. That was so good. The world can be the reflection of your beloved. The world can be the reflection of your beloved. The world can be the reflection of your beloved. That's interesting. Let each moment then find you in simple, quiet, inner enjoyment that comes from the decision to love. Let each moment then find you in the simple, quiet, inner enjoyment that comes from the decision to love. So what does that mean? It means love taking out the garbage. Love the rain that hits the windows. Love the crying of the child. Love, love, love. So what does that mean? You know, sometimes we try to figure out this stuff as we read it, and what I found is that Spirit anticipates the questions that we're going to have before we even ask them. And if we continue to read forward, it seems to answer the questions that come up in our mind. Like, you know, okay, love, love, love. Love, 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 love. At each moment. That's where we're at, because y'all want to follow along. It's easier. Sometimes it's easier to stay focused. So it says, love embraces all things, love allows all things, love trusts all things, and therefore transcends all things. That is the power that abides within you when you finally choose to be that one who knows. So look well then this day and seize this day. Where can you simply change your mind and bring love to something that you have been withdrawing love from? Where can you simply change your mind and bring love to something that you've been withdrawing love from? For example, well, I got to go to the office. No, you don't. I got to go to work. No, you don't. That's different. You are choosing to go to the office. You're choosing to go to work. No one has to do anything that they're doing every day. Everything is a choice. So it says, well, beloved friends, are you being presented with opportunities to experience love coursing through every cell of your being this day? What can prevent you from experiencing love if it is not but your own decision? For in the way of knowing, the liberated mind of Christ, the liberated mind of your real self knows there is nothing outside me. And with that, peace be unto you always, O holy child of God. Amen. There is nothing outside me. There's nothing outside me. So if that's true, you aren't outside of me, and I'm not outside of you. You aren't outside of me. Actually, you are seeing me and experiencing me inside of you and inside of your mind. So nothing is outside of you. So if nothing's outside of me, then in order for me to embrace something, I would need to be bigger than it. Right? If I'm going to embrace something, I've got to be bigger than it. So if you are not outside of me, then what I am must be larger than what I think I am. Because to embrace you in my love would have to be bigger than what it looks like is in front of me. So who we really are must be something beyond what we think we are if we're going to be able to embrace each other, and you are not outside of me. And if you're not outside of my mind and I'm not outside of your mind, then we must be a part of the same mind, and we must be inside the same mind. That's really deep. And if we're inside the same mind, we must be the same mind, which means we are one. We're just one being looking like it's many. Any thoughts about that before we go to the next chapter that it says you and you alone create your tomorrows? Any questions, any comments, any thoughts about any of it that was said so far? So do you feel love when you take out the garbage?
Sometimes.
Working on that pattern.
Yeah. So if I'm willing to love it, then I'm not resisting it. So it says here, this next part is going to get pretty deep, y'all. So it's going to say some stuff that's going to be kind of out there, the kind of stuff I like to hear. It says, beloved and holy friends, feel and understand my delight as I seek to look upon the world in which you abide and allow myself to receive the guidance of my Father and how I can best create communication devices that can touch as many hearts and minds as possible. There is a great advantage to living outside of the realm of the body. Are you getting that the Way of Master is a channel book, which is basically saying that Jesus, or a higher consciousness that's outside of the body, a spirit that's outside of the body, is using somebody's body who channeled this, his name is JM, to express these thoughts to us. Because the premise is we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And if we are spiritual beings having a human experience, then there are also spiritual beings that's outside of the human bodily experience. And that the beings that's outside of the human bodily experience they're trying to communicate to us through this channel to make us aware of things that we don't know because we're not taught these things. So we're actually being given a completely different perspective from the one that we have, and that in itself is a pretty way out premise. If you just consider the source of where this is saying this is coming from, that in itself is a trip. That's why I said you need not believe, you need not accept it. But it says there's a great advantage in living outside of the realm of the body. There's a great advantage to living outside of the realm of the body. What would be some of the advantages of living outside the realm of the body? The easiest way to hear this stuff is either to tell yourself you don't have to believe it, or to tell yourself, I'm willing to pretend that it's true for a while. So like for 90 minutes, I'm going to pretend that this is true. Okay, then what would be an advantage of living outside the realm of the body?
No death.
No death?
I could be in many places at once.
You would be you'd be everywhere. You'd be unlimited because the body is a very limited form.
Yeah.
Anybody else could think of an advantage of being outside of the realm of the body?
No fear.
No fear, because all our fear is around what? The body. Something that can happen to the body, something that the body needs. You got to feed it, you got to house it, you got to clothe it, you got to protect it, you got to defend it. And so there would be no fear if there was no body and you still were existing.
Expansion.
You'd be expanded, sort of like what Chris was just saying.
No separation between me and beloved.
That's right. There would be no separation between us. We would immediately know that we were that one being, that one consciousness. So that would be really cool because we wouldn't be treating each other like we're strangers, and there would be more love happening, I believe.
No judgments or prejudices.
No judgments or prejudices because they're based on the separation and based on the body. Yeah. What about the whole thing of men and women? That would be gone. The whole gender difference thing would be gone, which would be really interesting, wouldn't it?
Well, all polarity things would be gone.
It wouldn't be any polarity that we know of. That would be there. There would be no hot and cold, and no starvation, and no being full, and so that's kind of deep when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be freezing your butt off. Walking down the street. So what are some of the things that you think we think of as a great advantage in thinking that we live inside a body?
The man and woman thing.
Okay, you get a chance to play with the man and woman thing. What else?
Food.
Yeah, you get a chance to taste some food. You know what I'm saying? Just big old turkey leg doing the.
Individuality.
You get a chance to think that you're individual and separate and different, right?
You get to experience things that are like, you get to experience things like, like love, hate, passion, anger. You get to and experience these things and actually see them as like a game, a toy, and learn how to play with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You get a chance to experience all the illusions of the polarities and the differences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get a chance to experience other things that are made out of matter.
Yeah, so you get a chance to
you know.
have fun with
You can go on a
physicality.
dance, you can go on a merry-go-round.
That's right, you can be in the body, man. You can be getting down potting. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We can do that when we think we're in the body, right?
Yeah.
So what would it be like to be in a body, know that you're one, and also don't believe in guilt and sin?
Best of both
Really,
worlds.
yeah,
Freedom.
so exactly.
What you say?
Best of both worlds.
It would be awesome.
You
So,
do that.
because obviously, if the premise is we create our reality and that we're unlimited spiritual beings choosing to have a physical experience, then it sounds to me as if it could be like God children playing. To me, it sounds to me that's what it sounds like. It sounds like if we were beings who could have it any way that we wanted to have it, and if anything we could think of, we could experience. And we decided that we wanted to have the experience of what would it be like to think that we're separate, right? What would it be like for me to think I'm a body? What would it be like for me to think I'm a male body? What would it be like for me to think I'm a male African American body? Then that's just like me being a kid when I used to play like I was a soldier or play like I was a superhero or something else, right? Mm-hmm. So if a God child did that, if a child of an unlimited being who also has unlimited creative power did that, we could appear to create a world. We could appear to create all of this. You know what I'm saying? Because when you think about it, when you had a car, if you had a toy car when you was a child, and now you got what you would call a real car, if you really look at it objectively, it's nothing but the toy that's a heck of a lot bigger now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you could have a doll house, and then you could have this house. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So at a God level, you could have a doll, and you can have a doll. And you could actually physically experience yourself. I'm saying, that, what if we were much greater than anything that we could possibly imagine? We're creating all of this for this experience, but we've forgotten that we created it. Because in order to take it seriously, we would have to forget that we did it, to completely believe we are it. Mm-hmm. So for me to completely believe I am Earl, I'd have to forget I'm also you, and I also have to forget my relationship to my source, to really see myself as being separate and in the body. So part of the game then, when I'm really pretending I'm a cowboy, I'm not pretending I'm a cowboy and thinking of myself as Earl. When I'm playing like I'm a cowboy, I'm totally into the role of being the cowboy. And the fun of it is to forget about the fact that I'm Earl and really believe I'm the cowboy. So suppose I'm an unlimited spiritual being. Now I'm really seriously believing that I'm a man. And you're seriously believing that you're a woman. And we're seriously believing that we're separate. And we've forgotten that we're more than that. Okay, how much fun would it be to be here and be aware that we are guiltless, that we are loved, that we are one, that we are free, that we are here to give and receive love and to experience all this, but we have no sense of anger, guilt, grievances, attack, or separation, or no desire to limit each other in any way, but to play together in a spirit of love and spontaneity and creativity. What would it be like then?
Perfection.
That would be awesome. For a while we would do that, and then we go on to something next. So I think that's what's kind of like behind this statement, you and you alone create your tomorrows. And it says right here, there's a great advantage to living outside of the realm of the body. I need not spend time on the body. I can see that strikes some chords among you. The body isn't right and the body isn't wrong. The body simply is. Now, the Course in Miracles teaches something that's really interesting and talks about this and alludes to it in here too. So the part of me that thinks I'm Earl now, that's forgotten I'm the unlimited child of God, that part of me that thinks it's separate and Earl, I'm identifying with that now. And so if I start to try to remember that I'm more than that, then the part of me that believes I am a body and that believes I am Earl, which is called the ego, will do everything in its power to convince me that me being more than a body and not a body isn't true, so that part of me can maintain its existence. And in the Course in Miracles says the way that you try to convince yourself that you are a body and not an unlimited spirit is through two things: pleasure and pain. Because pleasure, if something feels good, you go, "Oh, that feels so good," you rubbing my hand. See, my hand, so that's convincing me I'm a body. And then if I bump up against a wall accidentally and injure my shoulder, that pain is convincing me that I'm a body. So the Course says that when you start to come into the realization of yourself and begin to let go of some of the beliefs that the world has taught you, and you start to get back in touch with your spiritual identity, that your ego, the part of you that thinks you are limited, does everything in its power to convince you that you are crazy. But even begin to trying to think that you create your reality and that you are greater than what you've been taught you are. So it makes sense that when a person gets serious about their spiritual path, which is the same as saying they get serious about their awakening, they'll tend to create things in the outer world that seem to be so intense that they temporarily forget what they've been learning, because now you're having to deal with some problem, some issue, some pain, or hopefully some pleasure too. So be aware that as you try to wake up to your true identity, don't think that there's not going to be a part of you that's going to try to convince you that you're crazy for trying to do it. And so if you realize that there's a part of you that's going to try to defend against this new idea that you are unlimited, that you are loved, that you are guiltless, that you are the creator, then when it comes up with its tricks, which the book teaches you how to recognize, you won't be fooled by it. Like, for instance, the last 6 weeks since my birthday, I've had one miracle after another miracle after another miracle after another miracle after another breakthrough after another breakthrough after one thing after another that represented love and healing and awakening and proving to me that everything I've been studying all these years are true. And it was just getting to the point that it was almost more than I could handle. So then I immediately tried to give myself a cold and go into congestion and sore throat and everything. First of all, I got to choose sore throat because I'm a speaker. So if I'm going to mess with myself any kind of way, that would be the logical place to start, would be my throat, because I'm speaking the truth, right? So the part of me that doesn't think I should be doing that, it would be, I'm going to deal with your throat, you know what I'm saying? And then if my body is aching or I got a cold or congestion, what is it saying to me? I am a body, I am a body, I am a body, I am a body. So whenever I get what appears to be sick, then I tell myself it's just a defense against the truth. It's a trick to make me think that I'm not the unlimited child of God. It's a trick to make me think that I'm not loved and that I'm not innocent. And then I'll use a throat lozenge if I feel like I want to, or I'll take I'll take medicine or whatever I think I need to do, do more juicing or whatever it is. It's all equal. Because that's a sign of my willingness to be healed, but telling myself that it's a trick is me using the very sickness to remind me of the truth, that the sickness is trying to make me forget. So I'm actually using my sickness to make me even more aware of God and more aware of the truth, which is the opposite of what my ego wanted me to do. My ego wanted me to take the sickness and say, this means that this isn't true. If I've been studying all this stuff and I still get sick, then this must not be true.
Yeah.
If this is still happening to me, then this stuff is just a bunch of crap. It's not really true. So your ego, it will do it to make you think it's not true. You're hearing you have infinite abundance, and that's your natural state. Well, then all of a sudden your ego would defend against by causing you some type of financial lack, if you see abundance as money, to make you believe I couldn't possibly be abundant. That's a bunch of crap. I can barely pay my bills. How could I be the abundant child of God? So it's important to realize that anything that you're going through that would make you feel like you're less than whole is a trick of the part of your mind that's trying to convince you you are limited. Because that was the game we were playing until we decided to wake up. That's the only difference between us and other spiritual beings in the human body, is we played the game of being asleep and not knowing long enough, and now we're ready to wake up to who we really are again, to really start having fun. Okay, I played the limitation game. Now I'm going to play the game of who I really am and getting back in touch with the fact that I do create my reality. I'm not a victim and I can have everything. See, that's where I'm going to now. Phase 1 is I'm pretending that I'm limited and I'm helpless to have this experience of being a separate person called Earl that's having his dramas and his ups and his downs and all the stuff that we go through. And then at some point, this internal alarm clock went off, and I went, whoa, there must be another way of looking at this. There must be something beside what I'm looking at, okay? And then you start your spiritual journey. But we need to stay aware that the old self will try to battle against that new realization that you're making so that you won't freak out and get fooled by the stuff that comes up in your life. Mm-hmm.
So is that why, like, a lot of times when it seems like I'm coming close to this real profound truth, I'll get a pain in my body, or there'll be some outside noise that'll just distract me.
That's
And I'm
exactly
like,
right. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's the purpose of it.
yeah.
To distract you. That's why sometimes when people are making incredible levels of spiritual awakening and growth, and they're studying and they're meditating and they're reading and they're coming to classes and they're working on themselves, then the ego will pull out what the Course in Miracles teaches is its chief weapon for keeping you from awakening. You will get a special relationship. That's the chief one. It's like, because that's the best distraction going. You know, the ones you think you've fallen in love or you're getting a special relationship, it's so easy to get distracted by that. And then all of a sudden, that's where all your attention is focused on, is in all the ups and downs and dramas and desires and scripts and everything that's around the specialness. So the spirit will then take the special relationship that your ego is trying to use as a distraction to be a means for you to also wake up and remember who you are. So spirit takes whatever we make up and will use it for our benefit if we're willing to listen to it. So it's no sacrifice. It's no sacrifice. That's what I like. There's no sacrifice in this path. So I love the fact that now my body can go through something, and instead of getting all bent out of shape about it, I go, oh, okay, it's just a little defense against the truth. It's my call for love. My ego is trying to convince me I'm a body right now. And then I do whatever I feel like I need to do at the physical level, and I read more, because the purpose of it was to make me turn my back on the truth. And so what I'm going to do is meditate more, read more, come to class more, hear the truth more, give love more, and not back off of it. So keep that in mind as you go through this awakening process. You know, it's obvious we want to have the experience of what it would be like to think that we were completely limited, and then to grow into the awareness of our unlimited nature, because what's more helpless than a baby? So when we come in, we create it where it looks like we're completely helpless and powerless. And then we grow up, and just think about it, even at a physical level. You grow up and you come into more and more of your power, more and more of your ability to be responsible, take care of yourself. But you started out totally just, you know, pooping and peeing, and somebody had to take care of every little part of you. I mean, sometimes it's hard for us to believe that that's what happened to us, but that's what happened to all of us. You know, but now, hopefully, nobody's doing it. And except at times you want to be freaky or funny or you know, but you know what I'm saying. But my point is, we seem to be in a process of coming to the awareness of our power, because I'm not as helpless now as I was when I was a baby. So Spirit is trying to let us know that's exactly what we're doing, and it's going to continue and continue and continue. That we're being offered another opportunity to continue to come into the awareness of who we really are, in the awareness of our power. That's why he says the body isn't right, the body isn't wrong, the body simply is. I love that. In reality, as you have fallen under the spell of the world that you have created, I say it again, you have fallen under the spell of the world that you have created for no other reason than you wanted to. You have come to perceive the body in a certain way. First of all, you think the body is quite solid, when in fact the body is not solid. You think that the body separates you from everybody else in this class. Since, as your scientists well know, no two solid objects can occupy the same point of space and time, and they're quite right about that. But as you look out through the eyes of your body, you would actually believe that you dwell within your body. And so you think you have a private domain that's all yours. See, this is your private domain. That's all yours, and you're looking out through the window called your eyes. This is your private domain, and we try to be real discerned about who we let into our private domain, who touches it, who comes around it, who gets in your house, right? So the Course in Miracles, so the Course in Miracles says this leads you to the great delusion that you can have private thoughts. So one of the other premises of the Course in the Way of Mastery is that we don't have private thoughts. That the idea that you have your own private thoughts is a total illusion. So how would you feel if everybody knew what you were thinking all the time? Would that be something that would be frightening to you?
It might be to them.
Or would that What'd you say?
It might be to them.
It might be to them. It might be frightening to them if they knew what your thoughts were. Absolutely. That's how you can tell whether your thoughts are real. If you have thoughts that you wouldn't share, then that's your way of knowing that you have some thoughts that are an illusion. Because if it's real, it's loving, and if it's loving, why would you hide it? So the only thing you hide are things that are not real anyway. So it kind of really doesn't matter whether you share your private thoughts with me or not. If it's something you can't share, it's not loving. So I don't really care whether I hear it or not. So you can keep it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then it says the thought that you keep to yourself really isn't a thought that's very strong and powerful, because things grow in strength as they're shared. So if you don't share it, it doesn't grow in strength. Here's a good idea. Here's an example. If I have the idea of going to the movie with you, and I share the idea, let's go to the movie, man, and you say, okay, Raj, let's go to the movie. Now he has the idea of going to the movie too. So now that idea has become stronger, right? Now it's more powerful. And guess what? Now he has the idea, but do I still have the idea? Yeah. So something that's real, when you give it away, it increases, but you still have it. If it's something that's not real, when you give it away, it looks like you don't have it. So if I turn around here and say, I'm going to give you my glasses, then do I still have the glasses? No. So that's one of the ways that you can know the glasses must be an illusion and must not be real, because if you share it, you don't have it anymore. So what is real then? The idea of these glasses or the glasses? The idea. Because even if these glasses were destroyed, the idea of glasses could give me another pair of glasses. So I'll ask you this. What's real then? The idea or the physical manifestation of the idea?
The idea.
The idea. Okay, so are we not physical just like the glasses? Right? So that means that it's not your body or your physical representation of yourself that is real. The real you must be the idea behind you. It must be the idea that created you that's real. So the idea that created bodies could create one body after another body after another body. Each body could live and die, but the idea behind bodies could keep producing bodies, like the idea behind eyeglasses could keep producing eyeglasses. So could it be possible then that we are ideas in the mind of God that can create bodily images one after another as much as we want to? Just throwing it out there. Is the idea of you realer than the physical manifestation of you? Absolutely. Absolutely. And then anything that's born in physical matter, it says anything that has a beginning has an ending. So anything that begins in time ends in time, and it goes through a cycle, and then it ends. That's what happens in time. So what if I was willing to accept that everything around me was going to change, because that's the nature of this reality, and that I was no longer going to fight change and stop resisting change and started to welcome change as being a natural part of being here? What kind of day would I have if I wasn't trying to spend the whole day trying to make everything stay in the form I want it in? But I was willing to let it naturally go through its cycle of change and then enjoy every part of the change.
Surprising.
Yeah, you'd have a good friggin' day. You'd have a lot better day, you know. So as you begin to wake up, you begin to allow things to change. As a matter of fact, there's a lesson in the way of mastery exercise. It's really cool, where he says, you know, what you do all day is everything that happens, you say, I allow it. Like if you taking a shower, he said say, I allow the shower. I allow the water to be on my body. I allow my car to move when I put my foot on the gas pedal. I allow myself to be in this room right now. In other words, start talking as if everything that's happening is happening because you are allowing it. Just as it is, but without trying to necessarily change it. But just claim I'm allowing that camera to work. I'm allowing you to sit in the room. I'm the creator of my dream. I'm the creator of my experience. So I'm going to claim my power by saying I allow it. So he says there's a lot of power in just saying I allow it. I'm allowing my current financial situation. I'm allowing my current relationship situation. I'm allowing some chest congestion. I'm allowing it. So I'm letting go of the idea that I'm the victim of my dream, and I'm owning the fact that I have the power to create my reality by claiming that everything that's happening to me, I'm allowing it. Any thoughts about that? Yeah.
I just had a beautiful thought, because as you were saying that, I was starting to think, oh, but I need to trust, and that's a challenge. But then you said that about allow. And I'm like, I already know how to trust. So I'm the one that's allowing myself not to trust. So then I can choose to trust. I can choose to allow myself to trust.
That's right. That's right. That's what he's saying. If I get up in the morning, I should never say I'm getting up in the morning because I got to go to work. I should say I'm getting up in the morning and I'm choosing to go to work. Even if I'm going to go anyway, I still should say I'm choosing to go. We have to start having we don't have to, but it's very helpful to start having a conversation with yourself in a brand new way. And just communicating in a brand new way. Like, I'll say stuff like, I'm really choosing to make myself upset right now. I'm really making myself mad about this bus being late. I'm really making myself upset about it. You know, it's like, I'm still feeling my upset, but I'm empowering myself through it by telling myself I'm making myself upset. I'm making myself jealous. I'm making myself jealous. I'm making myself jealous about the way she dancing with that dude. I'm making myself jealous right now. So I'm still feeling the jealousy, but I'm empowering myself. I'm not saying I'm a victim of my jealousy. And if I tell myself long enough I'm making myself jealous, it's only a matter of time before I'm going to say, well, I'm going to choose not to make myself jealous.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm the one that's doing it, and I'm the one that's feeling the jealousy, and the other person isn't even feeling the jealousy. They're like really getting off with the person they're dancing with, they're not even thinking about it. So anybody been there? All right, but then we'll act like we're the victim of it. So do you have a private domain? Does everybody have a private domain?
No.
Yeah, that's your body. Okay. He says this leads you to the great delusion that you can have private thoughts, like one who comes home after a day of work and closes the front door behind them and then rants and raves about their boss, and they're ranting and raving about their co-workers, thinking that the walls of the house are around them, therefore they have something called quote-unquote privacy. Rest assured that privacy is quite a delusion. And see, what's happening, the outer reflects the inner, right? So if the outer world is a reflection of what's going on in our consciousness, then we can tell a lot about what's going on in our minds by looking at what's happening in the outer world. So what's one of the most common things that's happening in the outer world? We all are in, practically all of us are in some form of instantaneous communication with each other. Notice that I'm actually old enough to remember when these didn't exist. Okay, and now I kind of wonder how we functioned. Because if you were stranded on the side of the road, there was no picking up a cell phone and calling AAA and saying, right, you know what I'm saying? But when those things happened, I still somehow or another, it was okay. Everything was handled. Now, the fact that we're all able to communicate with each other instantaneously is a reflection of the fact that we're beginning to have telepathy and our minds are beginning to be joined. We're in instant communication because we're now in greater communication mentally and spiritually. So now it looks like we're in greater communication physically. So again, I can remember when you could pick up a phone and it would be 3 or 4 people in the neighborhood and you were all using the same line. And they called it party lines. And you had to actually ask the person to get off the phone so you could make a call. Wouldn't that be a trip? When I was a kid, our house caught on fire. And my mother was grabbed me and my little sister. We was like 5 or 6 years old. I can remember like it was yesterday. And she was running through the house and there was smoke coming through the house. And she went to call the fire department. And someone was on the phone and they wouldn't get off. So they couldn't get there in time to really save the house. But we were able to get out. But again, now you got your own phone with your own line that you can call or just touch a button and you don't even have to say anything and they'll come and get you and rescue you. So what that's showing us is that at some level we are creating a reality that we are more taken care of, more instantly able to be helped. So we're loving ourselves more, even though it'll look like in some ways we're loving ourselves less. But the truth is we're loving ourselves more because we're making it easier for us to be in instant communication with each other and therefore get help instantly. Yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking this ties into the telepathy. Like, in the last 100 years, we've lost 100,000 words, but at the same time, when you communicate, like you're saying, instantaneously or telepathically, then you don't really need that words because all that expression already gets across. So maybe that's like the reason why everything's abbreviated now and like we're just having less and less words.
Which is a great point, which kind of freaks people out because it's almost like the young people are developing another language, and it's everything is short, like you said, it's really short. Because I remember I had a hard time with texting at first because it didn't make any sense to me. I didn't see how texting a person was more efficient than picking up the phone and telling them what you wanted to say. It seemed like that would be easier than stopping and typing. But then I came to realize that actually it was a much more efficient way of communicating because you can send a message really quick to somebody, and when you try to do it on the phone, it's rare that you can do it that quickly.
You get distracted.
Yeah, you get distracted. Y'all get in a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Where you can say, "I'm on the way in 5 minutes," but if you call them, it would take longer. So again, my whole perception of the way it's happening. Then my granddaughter, when she was 9 months old, she was operating my son's iPad. And so the young children are coming in here already very adept at computers and communicate because they're the ones that's going to have to deal with this. So they've already come in knowing what they're going to have to do to move things to the next level because that's all part of this empowerment because it's all us. So to me, I'm fascinated by all of this. I'm fascinated about who we are and what we remembering we are. Then people say, well, how does that relate to me wanting to get a raise on my job? Well, if I recognize I'm the creator of my experience, that answers that question about how do I get a raise on my job or how do I allow myself to have, if I want a relationship, anything else. It'll happen with my consent. It'll happen with me letting go of whatever blocks. But I'm smart enough now that I don't ask for anything without asking for God's will in the situation. Because, yeah, I can manifest stuff, and I have manifested every fantasy that I can think of. And once I got into this secret stuff back in the 70s when you could create your reality, I just went ahead and just created all my fantasies. So I had a chance to have every fantasy that I thought I wanted, but I wasn't happy because I hadn't dealt with my deeper psychological issues. Well, I hadn't dealt with my own sense of unworthiness or unconscious guilt or unconscious fear or anger or grievances. So even though I was creating all that stuff, I wasn't letting myself fully enjoy it because I hadn't dealt with my own mental, emotional healing. And that's what people don't realize when they're going, I want to manifest. Yeah, but it's still you manifesting. So all the things you manifest are going to be neutral. But it's going to be the way you feel about yourself that's going to determine whether or not you enjoy it or whether you use it to cause you pain. And so I realized it was more important for me to forgive and get a clear, loving consciousness than it was for me to have a house, a car, whatever I was trying to get. So that's part of spiritual maturity too. All of a sudden you begin to realize, if I'm really smart, I want the part of me that's infinite and higher and more aware, the God me. That's who I want to be in charge of it. Because I don't really know what's best for me at this level. And that's where the Course in Miracles comes in and says, well, you don't perceive your own best interest. Just because I want to be with you doesn't mean that's the best thing for me. So just because I want something doesn't mean it's the best thing for me. So I have to let go of my childlike attitude about receiving. You know. So we're being prepared to be conscious co-creators, which is a big deal, y'all. You know, and when you connect with somebody who really is awake as you are, you're right. You don't need as much words. I've had relationships before that I could think something and my partner would answer me as if I had said it out loud, and it freaked me out. Because you can be so attuned to some people that you don't even have to say anything, and you know what each other are thinking. You know, and so we're headed there. And the part of us that's rooted in the world, it doesn't want to hear this. It's bored hearing it. It doesn't turn it on, and that's okay. That part of me that wants me to suffer, go ahead, do your thing. But I'm not joining with you like I used to. So you can give me all the bum advice you used to, but I'm not going to listen to you like I would have. You know, I know you're telling me to cuss them out and go off on them. No, I'm not going to do that, because that's just going to create more of it, because what I give is what I'm going to receive more of. So all of a sudden you'll find your ego is still there, but you won't let it control you the way it used to. And you'll find yourself consciously choosing not to go off where you used to go off. And that's how you can tell you begin to get in touch with your power.
I find too, I just love my ego.
Well, great.
Because
that's the same as
just
loving
takes
taking
all
out
the
the
power out
That's
of
right. Well, that's the same as saying loving taking out the garbage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, love is never the wrong answer.
Right.
You know, but loving my ego in the sense that I'm not attacking it is not the same as saying I'm gonna let it be my advisor and my guide. That's the difference. Yeah. So it says, in reality, check this out. It says, in reality, the body doesn't contain you. Rather, you contain the body. Mind is vast, eternal, and unlimited. Mind is what every being that you know participates in, like waves participating in the ocean. This means that anytime you think a thought about anyone, that thought is communicated to him or her. Anytime you think a thought about anyone, they know it. Whether you realize it or not, they know it. Now, how many times you thought about somebody and the phone rang? Or you thought about somebody and you ran right into them and you hadn't seen them in I don't know how long, and all of a sudden you walk right up on each other. You know, we're in telepathic communication right now. Now it's quite true that unless they have done enough work to become sensitive to the subtle levels of creation, they will not necessarily be aware consciously that you're thinking a certain thought about them. They may only be aware that suddenly they have a thought of you. So that's interesting too. If all of a sudden you find yourself thinking about somebody, we're being told that it's a high probability that they're thinking about you, but you think you just start to think about them, but you actually are responding to the fact that they're thinking about you. It says, and a rather funny feeling is going through their body, and they'll pass it off and not give it a second thought. So you're thinking about them, they start thinking about you, and they kind of feel you in their body, but they kind of pass it off. And sometimes it happens a lot with people you've been in a relationship with in the past. All of a sudden you find yourself thinking about an old partner or old lover or old whatever. And what's happening is they're probably thinking about you at that moment, and all of a sudden you start to think about them again. Likewise, if you think a loving thought 10,000 miles away, someone may suddenly think of you and feel good in their body and not even know why, and just let it go by. Why? Because the belief system says that they must be doing that inside themselves and it has no connection with you. But that's not true at all. They think about you and they feel good and it's connected to you. So in reality, thought is the substance of all things. Thought is an impulse of pure energy. Thought is more subtle than anything in the physical domain. Thought travels faster, far faster than the speed of light. So, in other words, if we had to travel to other galaxies and other parts of the universe, which is nothing but other parts of our own mind, but we had to travel by the speed of light, that's too slow. The speed of light is too slow to really reach all parts of the galaxy, because we're looking at light every day that left somewhere billions of years ago, right? So every time we look in the sky, we're only seeing the past. We're never looking in the sky and seeing anything where it is right now. That light left that star billions of years ago. That star might not even exist anymore. So you're really looking at something that doesn't even exist. You might be looking at something that doesn't really exist anymore. Just like we're looking at the star and we see in the past, what we always see in the past when we look at each other. We just closer, so we think it's different. By the time you see something, it's already done.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you physically see something, you're looking at the end of it, the end result. That's why when you're trying to change your mind, you can't judge how effective the change of mind is by what you see right now. Because what you see right now is an effect of what you were thinking before. So when you're trying to change yourself, you mustn't compare what you're trying to experience to what it looks like you're experiencing right now. Because what you're experiencing right now is a result of thoughts that you've had in other such present moments as this. And so now you're choosing for something else, and it's going to show up also. And thank goodness that we have that lag between when we think of something and when we see it, because that gives us a chance actually to prepare ourselves and open ourselves up to receive it. Where if it happened instantaneously, we would be in a chaotic experience. If every time you thought something is shifted, we're not ready for that yet. So we have a really slowed down version of everything. Everything is slower for us, so that we'll have a chance to be able to change our mind, to receive it, to look at it correctly. Because there's nothing worse than having something show up when you're not ready to receive it and can't appreciate it yet. Because I've done that, haven't you?
Yeah.
You like had something really cool show up and you found out you weren't even in a place to even recognize it and appreciate it, and you blew it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So yeah, so now I'd much rather things show up when I'm ready for it. And so I'm glad time does that for me. These books are giving me a chance to forgive myself enough to receive the love when it shows up, instead of sabotaging it or crucifying myself. Anybody else have any thought about anything? I know it's pretty deep stuff tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I like it.
What's the lag time between that? How do you speed it up?
I found that infinite patience produces immediate effects. So if I'm infinitely patient about it and I'm not afraid about it, then there's nothing to block it. And then if it shows up, I'm ready for it because I'm not afraid of it. So it's my fear that slows it down, and believing that, and being impatient slows it down, because impatience is a form of fear, saying I don't believe it's going to happen. So when a person has a lot of fear about something, fear is a block and it slows things down. But if I have infinite patience about it, then that means that I'm okay about each stage of it, and I'm okay if it happens, and I'm okay if it doesn't. So there's nothing to stop it from happening because I have no fear to block it. Because I'm certain of the outcome. The Course says that patience is being certain of the outcome. And patience is an abundant willingness to learn. So when you say you're patient about something, you're saying I have an abundant willingness to do this over and over and over again. And you call it patience. Or patience is I'm certain about how it's going to turn out. Like if you tell me you're going to pick me up at 8:30, then I'm not sitting up here impatient about it. Because I'm certain that you're going to pick me up at 8:30. So certainty also creates patience. But when you're uncertain, you go, is it going to be at 8:30 or not? You see what I'm saying? Oh, you're going to be there at 8:30? Okay. Then until 8:30, I'm chilled. So the Course teaches when you're certain of the outcome or you're completely willing to do something, then you're going to be patient. See, I'm patient with this curriculum because I'm willing to do it over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm being patient with it. Why? Because there's a part of me that's certain of the outcome, which is that I'm going to have more peace of mind and more love and more joy in my life. So I can be patient with it. But a person who doubts it and don't believe it's true, then they're really impatient to get a result right now. But that's because they don't believe. They don't have any real faith in what they're doing. So impatience is really a reflection of lack of faith and lack of trust.
Earl, I did have a question because back to like allowance. I'm finding still that there's certain things that I like that are like ego based, and like one of the things I'm finding right now is that for instance, like jealousy.
You like what?
I'm like jealousy.
Oh, jealousy.
I'm like, ooh, that's fun. But then I think where I get in trouble is I start judging. And I start thinking, oh, I shouldn't like that. And that's not fun. But I think if I allow myself to see it as a toy and be like, ooh, have fun with it and not attached to it, then eventually I'm going to let it go like a toy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have fun with it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think what's keeping me stuck is that I keep judging and saying it's bad and I can't do that. So then that makes it more attractive.
Right. It's as long as you're willing to take responsibility. I'm gonna keep going back to that. If you're willing to take responsibility for whatever you're doing, then I feel like you can really handle it a lot better. You know.
Yeah.
It's like that story, the guy picking up the frozen snake and putting it next to his chest, you know. And then the snake got warm and then it bit him and the guy was dying. He said, "Why did you bite me?" And the snake said, "Well, you knew I was a snake." You know what I'm saying? It's like if you go ahead and you know you're dealing with somebody that's not compatible with you or doesn't recognize the truth, don't take responsibility, not interested in the truth, but you decide to have a relationship with them, then you need to take responsibility for that. And when they don't reflect any of that consciousness, then don't be getting all upset about it because you knew they weren't there in the first place. You just decided you wanted to have them anyway. So don't expect them to act conscious when they're not conscious. That's because you like the way they look. You know, or just because you're studying, you know, you're studying, so it's going to put the responsibility on you. You're going to be the one that's going to have to make the decision for both of you, because you're the one that's most awake. So as you become more awake, you have to make decisions not just for yourself but for everybody. You make choices based on what's best for all of us, not just based on what's best for me. Yeah.
Okay, I have to say something. It's that just reminded me of how, like, you know how like whales and dolphins and stuff are more conscious than we are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, I guess elephants have some chemical in their brain that they recognize. Like, we recognize our individuality, and then we decide, oh, but I'm part of this community, so I have to make a decision for the group that's best for the group. But we think about ourselves first.
Right.
Well, elephants have this chemical that makes them actually think of the community first, like the family first. Like, they do not have a conscious thought about themselves until they've decided that everything's cool with the family.
That's
and
cool.
I just think that's so tight.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Well, may we all grow into elephant consciousness tonight. May we live here as conscious as an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. You know, it's like who's really the most evolved? I mean, think
That's
about
what
it.
I'm saying.
Man, pretty much the only creatures on earth that just kill for the heck of it.
And
you
cats.
Know, and cats. But, but generally speaking, most animals do it for a matter of survival and not just for the pleasure of killing things. Mm-hmm. You know.
You know, I heard it said that somebody that's watching from outer space, when it comes to who's the boss, the dog or the people, the dogs aren't following us around cleaning up our poop.
That's right. That's right. And I always I mean, I'm not a pet owner, but it always looks like to me that the pet is owning the owner.
Yeah.
That it is the owner owning the pet. When I watch how everybody with pets, before they can do anything, they got to make sure the pet's taken care of. They got to get in touch with somebody. You know, they got to walk it. They don't care how much they don't feel like it. They out in the cold walking. You know what I'm saying? Like, so who's actually in charge? Just like you said, you know, is that your pet or are you his pet? You know, you don't want to go to work every day to feed him. You know, so I don't know. You might want to take a look.
Tell your guests if you don't, you know, your dog will tell you if you don't like dog hair on your clothes,
You know.
don't sit on the furniture. This is my house.
Yeah, you know, the Course says that the truth is just the opposite of everything that we think. That if you really want to know what the truth of anything is, just reverse it from anything that the world teaches, and that's the truth.
The formula.
And that's the formula. What does the world believe? Okay, then the truth is just the opposite of that. You know, and I use that and it works. So it says. Thought travels far faster than the speed of light. In fact, light is actually a physical occurrence that emerges long after the birthing of the dream of separation. So while a light year can seem to be quite a vast thing in your world of physics, rest assured that thought travels instantaneously. In fact, thought is immediately present everywhere. In the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull, when he had like the master girl that was teaching young Jonathan girl, and the master was teaching him, and all of a sudden him and the master were in an instant on a planet that had like 3 suns and some other solar system, and Jonathan was like, whoa, basically, how in the heck did we travel here so fast? And he said, by realizing you're already there. That the way you instantaneously travel is by knowing it's all part of you. So it's that you're already there. So you can be anywhere at the speed of thought. Mm-hmm. Just like right now, you could think of London, and you had that thought instantaneously. So when you think about bilocation, teleportation, all those other skills that advanced spiritual masters know how to do, be in 2 places at once, move from one place to another instantaneously, and their documentations of masters being able to do this, it's because they know they're not a body. They know that they're a mind. So they know that they can be anywhere, and their body is just a projected image. I can project the image here, and I can project the image there. But if I think I am a body, I can't pull it off. Mm-hmm. So I can't pull off these greater powers as long as I think I'm a separate body. You don't get in touch with that kind of power until you recognize your mind and spirit. So and that's what we're doing. Us sitting up here every time, learning that we're spiritual beings, remembering that it's our consciousness that's creating our reality. That's us evolving to the next level of our expression of who we really are. It's really awesome. It's really exciting. It means that we're getting ready to go to the next level of our evolution, in a sense. I'm excited about that. That turns me on. But the more you wake up, though, the less you're able to have peace with people who are asleep if you're trying to have a special relationship with them, unless you are completely into a completely forgiving state of mind all the time, because they're going to be constantly doing something that you're going to have to forgive over and over and over and over again. So you actually gets to a point you have to join with people of a like mind if you're going to have peace. You can't keep doing the mixed marriage thing, being unequally yoked like you could in the past. You can't dabble anymore, because it would just be too much of a delay in maneuver. Because everything you do, they wouldn't understand it, and they'd misperceive it. It's interesting.
If they're not awake and you are.
Yeah, if they're not awake and you are, they perceive you as unloving. They don't understand you, because imagine, you're not going to allow yourself to feel guilty. You're not going to allow yourself to be controlled. You're going to do what you really want to do. To people who are asleep, you're the most selfish, callous thing that ever existed. Because they believe that relationships are all about sacrifice. You doing what they want you to do regardless of whether it gives you any peace or not. So I couldn't be with a person like that now. It would be impossible, because it would be constant conflict. I want to be with someone who recognizes the truth. So that's what's about to happen. So he says, as you are a conscious mind, a body mind, abiding in the ocean of pure Christ mind, you literally receive the impressions of all thought being thought anywhere. It comes into your auric field. What is an auric field? It's really nothing more than the trough that seems to separate one wave from another. But in fact, those waves join them one into another. So you decide which thoughts will influence your life. So when we come together, we are actually deciding what thoughts we're going to allow to influence us. All fields of thought then, in a sense, wash up to the shoreline of your being. But you elect what influences will enter into your sphere. Okay, so all the thoughts everywhere are coming up to your being. But you are the one who elects which you're going to let influence your being. So all thoughts come to us, but we're the ones that decide. Like if someone tells me, I don't want to give you a cold, I don't believe anyone can give me a cold, personally. I believe I can choose to give myself a cold, and then I could say it has something to do with them. But I don't have to, that thought came up to me, but I don't have to accept it into the spirit of my being. So everybody's going to still think whatever they want to think around you. So it's not about you trying to control how other people think and what they say. It's about you selecting what you're going to allow to enter your sphere. Mm-hmm. Right? He says, now some of those thoughts will pass through. Some of these thoughts you will begin to become identified with, and you will take them on as your thoughts. You will form an agreement with the nature of that thought. You will value that thought, and therefore you will create experiences that flow from your agreement That's really important. That before you can create an experience and allow a thought to manifest, you have to go into agreement with it. So if you don't go into agreement with it, you won't experience it. So you can say anything to me you want to, but unless I go into agreement with it, I don't have to experience what you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be the most negative person in the world. It doesn't have to influence me whatsoever, unless I go into agreement. All women, you can't trust them. And then I go, yeah, okay. Then we went into agreement, and we're going to create experiences with women who look like they do us wrong. But we don't realize it only happened because we went into agreement with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it comes from your agreement, which he says is your valuation. For virtually all beings born within the human sphere, for virtually all beings born within the human sphere, he says one such agreement is, I'm just a body, and therefore I'm separate from all others. So all of us, he says, every one of us that's been born into this human sphere, it came from the agreement that we all made, which is, I am just a body, and I'm separate from everybody else. I'm just a body, and I'm separate from you. You're just a body, and you're separate from me. He said, and that's the agreement we all made, that we're bodies and that we're separate from each other. And that's why we're here. It was a decision to experience ourselves as separate and alone. He says, you're equally free, though, to say within yourself, I'm more than a body. I'm more than a body. I got a body, but I'm more than a body. My mind is vast and unlimited. I'm more than a body. My mind is vast and unlimited. And that is the deeper essence of my identity and my experience. Okay, so what did he just tell us? He just told us, he says, if you say, I'm just a body and therefore I'm separate from all other bodies, that gives you the regular human experience that everybody else is having. That it comes from that belief. Now, he's telling us, but if you want to be free, then you need to say, I'm more than a body, I'm more than a body, I'm more than a body. My mind is vast and unlimited. And that is the deeper essence of my identity and my existence. So if I'm in a relationship with you and I want that relationship to be a holy relationship, I would say, you are more than a body. Your mind is vast and unlimited. And that is the deeper essence of your identity. That's the deeper essence of your existence. So my job would be to remind you all the time that you're more than a body and that you're this vast, unlimited mind. And that would be a holy relationship. And that would be us using our relationship to free each other. So I wouldn't be thinking of you. I always say, being in a relationship with a woman who thinks she's a woman is no fun. Once you start to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
It's no fun being in a relationship with a man who thinks he's a man when you're waking up, because they're looking at everything the way the world says a man and woman should look at it, which is that we're separate and we're different and I'm a big and all that. But it's fun being with a spiritual being that is expressing itself as a woman, because they can play like they're a woman, but at the same time know they're more than a woman. And so you have a completely different relationship with them than if you were with a woman who thinks she's a woman. There's a big difference between being with a spiritual being that's expressing through a female or male body than to even be with a man or a woman who's trying to be spiritual. Because a man or a woman who's trying to be spiritual still has a core belief that they are separate body beings. They're just trying to be nicer, more spiritual, and you'll find that they're not different at all. They still get really jealous, really possessive, really want to limit you, and all, but they're just nicer about it. They'll say affirmations. So it's, it'd be spiritual, but you'll see they got the same thing with a man. I love to hang out with men who know they're more than men, because men who know they're more than men are not afraid to express their feelings and affection with men. Men who think they're men buy into all of the programming that the world gives you, and then they try to stay in that hard place where they're never having the softness and the compassion or really openness. They don't realize it's a role they're playing more so than what you are. So as you begin to wake up, you want to be in relationships with beings who know they're more than their body, who is expressing themselves through their gender, because those people are going to have the greatest, most beautiful attitude about their sexuality. They're going to have the best attitudes about their money, about freedom, about play, because they're not so identified with their body that they're totally fear-based and therefore very limited people to be around. And you can tell in a minute when you're around a person that's a being who knows they're expressing through a female or male body, because the ones who know they're beings, they don't have the kind of jealousy and possessiveness. That's the way you always know them, is that they're not freaking because you're talking to somebody else of the same sex as you. Like, I'm not going to be freaking out because my girlfriend is talking to you or even in your lap holding you, because I know you're me and I know she's me. So therefore, I'm not getting upset about what she's doing with me as you. Now, see, that sounds way out unless you are awake. If you're not awake, then that's my woman on his lap and he's a guy and I'm scared of what he's going to do with her. That's the way people who think they are bodies and men and women look at things, as if there's competition and as if there's a lack of love and there's not enough to go around. So you got to make sure that nobody else gets your loving. When you wake up, you realize they can't be with anybody but you, and that the more the love is extended, the better it is for you, because it also gives you the opportunity also to have love spontaneously that you would like to experience. And it's a whole different reality. I know it doesn't make sense, but I've lived it and experienced it, and it's as different as night and day between being around an awake being that's in a female or male body and being with one that's asleep. The one that's asleep, you're scared to communicate, and you're looking back over your shoulder to make sure they're not tripping all the time about whatever it is you're doing. You know, so why? Because I know you're me. I know we're one. I know we're innocent. And so therefore I don't have a need to try to limit you. Yeah. It's a different world. It's a different world. That's the one I want, though.
Yeah.
That's the one I want. I want to be in a world where people are recognizing they're joined, because I know what it's like to be in a world where we think we're separate. I grew up in that. I know what that's like. What I don't know is what it's like to be in a world where everybody thinks that they're connected and joined and innocent, especially innocent, because the idea of guilt and sin, the Course teaches, is the core belief behind all pain. Is guilt. That it says guilt causes every ounce of pain you see in the world. So what happens? We're born, and then we're immediately told what? You know, you're guilty or you're sinful. I was literally told I was born in sin.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got here, I was told I was screwed. I was messed up. I was flawed. You know. And so what happens if you come and then someone says you're innocent, you're sinless, you're guiltless, you're beautiful, you're unlimited, you're nurtured, you're expansive? So suppose that was your core belief. What would you start creating for yourself if you were a kid and that was what you heard from the time you were born? Be a different reality. Right? So, let me see. Okay. So one of the things you want to say to yourself is, I am in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. I'm in perfect communication with all. And another thing, as you begin to recognize your oneness and become truly innocent and harmless, one of the ways you can tell is the way animals and nature start to react around you. Because they'll stop being afraid of you. Like you'll be sitting in the park and the squirrel will come right up to you. Or a bird will land on you because they don't see you as a threat any more than they see a branch on the tree. And so you'll start to see that your relationships to animals will shift because you are coming from a more loving space. So you start to have trippy experiences like that, you know. And I've had a few like that just kind of freak me out. But then I realized, oh, I'm becoming helpful and harmless. And they recognize that I'm not going to hurt them because that's not my vibration. And so you'll start to see that happen. So you want to say, I'm in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. I need only withdraw my attention from my perception of my body to access communication with anyone at any time. I love that. So if I want to have communication with anyone at any time, I just need to take my attention from my perception of my body. So if I take my mind off my body for a minute, I could join with everybody. If I took my mind off of your body for a minute, I could join with everybody. That's deep. So I understand why we don't seem to join, because most people are very much focused on the body. That's the main thing they think about. It's the body. That's why they're approaching you in the first place, because it's something about your body that's attractive. Whew. So I'm going to finish this paragraph. We're going to wrap it up. It says, I once said in A Course in Miracles, you have never forgotten the body, even for a moment. And yet, a moment is all it takes to realize that you are not the body. I do not mean this by saying I do not mean by this that you should deny the body. I'm not saying you should deny the body, but rather that you be willing to surrender your perception of what the body is. What does that mean? That you don't see the body as a device that separates you. That's all it means. It's like, I'm going to stop seeing my body as something that separates me from you, but I'm going to start seeing my body as another means to join minds with you. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm using my body, right, to communicate with you. So I'm actually using my body to join instead of using my body to separate. So he says if you use your body to join minds and hearts, then that actually makes the body healthy. And it allows the body to be strong and fit.
I think a good way of thinking about that is how earlier you're talking about like the ocean and how it's all the thoughts, and you're like picking and choosing. But if that's happening, it's kind of hard to like pick them apart because it's just so many, And if you're using your body as a means to be one with everybody, then all you're doing is using your body as like a vessel to pinpoint and like to like elaborate on like certain ideas, like here, let me show you this one.
I love it when you talk dirty.
Thank you.
Talking all that joining oneness stuff. I love that. I love when I hear conscious thinking. So let's acknowledge ourselves for hearing this much on the cold street tonight. Yay! Absolutely. So I'm gonna wrap this up in just a minute. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation. I sure appreciate that. If you're online and you want to make a financial expression of appreciation, because this is what I do in the world, and so if you see value in it, I appreciate it if you would show it in a way that would actually be helpful to me in my day-to-day experience. And you can go to my website, earlpurdy.com, to do that. And I'm also available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions, where we take the truth and we apply it to your situation. And let Spirit talk to us to see the best way for you to proceed right now to really benefit in your life. And I use astrology and numerology also to help you. If you want to do that, go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and it explains it. And we can have a one-on-one session, and we can do that over the phone, Skype, or in person if you're wherever I am. So that's available. And it's such a blessing. I feel so blessed right now, and I'm so excited about this year, about this time. I know that it's a time of tremendous transformation, and we're going to see stuff that we never could have imagined in ourselves and in those around us, and that's going to be really, really cool. So before we finish, are there any comments, any ahas, anything that anybody want to say? Yeah.
Yeah, huge aha. I've been trying to quit smoking for a while. I kept coming from a point of I hate trying to quit smoking. Last Tuesday I walked out of this class with that message of I love trying to quit smoking, and I haven't touched one since last Tuesday.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. It's like any addiction to anything is not the thing that you're addicted to. You're addicted to the guilt that you feel from doing it. And so the once you let go of the guilt, you'll let go of the addiction. Wow. So it's real important to realize that the addiction, whatever the form of it is just a means to experience some form of self-punishment and guilt. So the minute we start moving toward our innocence, you'll find that, like I would have thought that when I started to feel real innocent about my body and feel really innocent about my sexuality and everything, that because I'm a person that's in my body. I'm not one of these spiritual people that try to pretend like I'm beyond the pleasures or the enjoyment of my physical body. That's I'm here, I'm in the body, I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna be in it, and I'm gonna experience it. But once I realized I was free and innocent was when I got control over any of my urges more than ever before. Than when I felt guilty. When I felt guilty was when I was out of control. But as I felt more innocent about it, then I found I could be more at a choice level with whatever was going on in my experience. So it's just the opposite of what your mind will tell you. But if you're just free, you'll just do anything. Well, actually, when you're free is when you start making right choices about what you're going to do. It's when you think you're limited that you don't. So to finish this, I'm going to say this statement that it told us to tell each other to free each other for a minute. So just let yourself hear it for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll be ready to go out into the dream. You are more than a body. You are more than your 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 body. You are more than a body. I am 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 more than a body. My mind is vast and unlimited. My mind is vast and unlimited. My mind is vast and unlimited. Your 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 mind is vast and unlimited. And that is the deeper essence of your identity and your existence. That is the deeper essence of your identity and your experience. You are in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. You are in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. You are in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. I'm saying in the first person. I am in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. Take a breath. Woo! I am in perfect communication with all forms of life at all times. My mind is vast and unlimited. My mind is vast and unlimited. Fucking. My mind is vast and unlimited. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. My mind is vast and unlimited. Claim it. My mind is vast and unlimited. I am more than a body. 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 My mind is vast and unlimited. My mind is vast and unlimited. My mind is vast and unlimited. And breathe. Now tell yourself something that you would like to have happen to you. Yes. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming tonight, Holy Spirit. You're a blessing in my life. Can we give it up for us? Can we give it up for us? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Sunday at 1 o'clock is the Course in Miracles class. You're welcome to come to that. I love you. I appreciate you. And may the Course be with you.